Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith of the In the Black VTF here at www.t3live.com with today's market wrap up. From the outside, some people would say there's not much going on, and in certain events, you might be right. You can see this tight range we traded in all day outside of the Fed minutes. I'll get to that in a second, but the problemo still here is this inside month for the S&P that we still are nowhere near taking out. Now we're coming into earnings, so hopefully we can get a little shake and bake, but you can see this inside month, and that week still green here, but if you look at the daily, much ado about nothing in here until we can get out of at least this range and test this downtrend, or get that back down here and test all this stuff. Until then, it's case by case basis. And so, a few of the things I talked about this morning, we're trying to find the action where it was, and so we're looking at the gaps in the morning. So you had cyber gap up, then get yourself a nice little gap in reverse. If you look at here, maybe a 15er. Here goes inside 15. We look for that equilibrium. It's either going to try and hold that gap and go up. That's not what happened. Inside 15, back down into the gap. We also had WebMD. Talked about that this morning. Oh, yeah. Giddy up. Inside 15 are here. Down, it takes out the opening. Takes out the opening range, and off to the races. Another inside 15 here. Nice gap in reverse there as well. To a lesser extent, we were also watching that eyes. And eyes gave you an inside 15 down here, inside 15 down here. Stalled out a bit, and then inside 60, but right here, inside 60 down, back into the gap. Not a full gap and crapper, but stuff to keep an eye on when you're in such a range. We want volatility. We want things to be moving, and so that's why we continually watch these gaps in the morning. As the morning progressed, then we got China, and the China, big gap up in China here. The FXI gapped up there, and that got us some good action. And a lot of the Chinese names had people pulling up Chinese names they haven't done in a long time. But you see Baidu and even old Sina, Sina getting on the move. Yoku, you name it. If it was made in China, it was running, and it even caused me to look up old Ren. Remember this baby? It's going to go to the moon once Facebook goes public, once I was told. Oh, well. But anyway, so we had some good action there. How we follow through on that, I don't know. That's a pretty big move. So then we had more oil numbers coming out, and the crude oil did the big old dumper. After going out towards the highs yesterday, came in, had the number, and the number said we still have tons of oil, and whammo. And that was it for crude oil. So we had a lot of nice short sells on the OIH, stuff like that. OIH here down a little bit, and the XOP handily underperforming the rest of that group. So we had a lot of stuff to keep an eye on there. That also helped the trannies. If you see the trannies here closing near the highs in the IYT, and so we had a few things still stay inside. We did have the airlines like Alaska Air up on that with the oil dropping off, and you have United Airlines still stays as an inside day. Didn't really join the party, so we'll kind of be watching that one in the morning to see if that follows through. Also had CSX Rail stay as an inside day here, not participating, so we'll see if they follow through or negate tomorrow with all that stuff. Then after that we had Perigo and Milan reportedly with a 205 bid to the for Perigo, and gaps, and so that got all of the IBB stuff running. IBB had a good day because of that, and even Milan, the acquirer, having a good day there. So that got all that stuff going. So those things in play. So even though the overall market looked pretty slow, there was definitely stuff to do. And then, of course, we have the Fed come out. And with the Fed minutes, and one of the things we look for when we know Fed minutes are coming out is this kind of action. Up, there's a down, up, and then back into the middle, a broadening formation on a shorter term time frame. If you go to a 5 minute here, you can see this perfect broadening formation here. Chop, 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 chop. Higher highs and lower lows. Big triangle like that. And so the way we want to look to play that is initially it goes inside 5 minute bar right when the news comes out. So you can take that initial 5 minute break here, and we're looking for the stocks to get hammered. But we're also well aware that when no news comes out during the day, and it's something that's not going to be drastically shocking, it wasn't going to be anything that we didn't already know for the most part, that we can expect this type of action because you see it every time. And so when when you do take this initial break, you're also looking to cover that. We're expecting this to come back up here. And even if it doesn't come all the way back up, what we're looking for is anything, once it starts to turn green and come back up, any stocks that are hanging around the highs that are going to trade higher than when the news hit out of here. And we certainly got a nice explosion on a lot of that stuff, and then it drifts back into the middle and does nothing after that. And during that, we also had news come out in Commvault, which was a nice timing on that because it was right when we were looking for things that are going up. And so when you go closer on this Commvault, you see how we go after things that are really on the move is you just want that one hesitation, and that was up inside one and off to the races, and then there was a bunch of choppy stuff in here, but just getting this initial move out of there was real nice in Commvault. So we're watching that stuff. We also had some strength. Netflix putting on a clinic here. Netflix had a real nice day here coming up out of this stuff. So there's places to be. You just got to look around and not confuse yourself with the overall market when you know that that's only going to go so far. Just use the movement that you do have to watch the things that are going. And so tomorrow we had XRT retail stays as an inside day. So a tight consolidation for XRT retail here, and we know we got earnings coming up and stuff like that. So you had inside day. So if we look at something like Target, and just like I talked about on the hyperspeed when you're trading the Fed days, same thing just on a slower basis, that if the market starts rallying tomorrow, this is a consolidation inside day here for Target. And if it takes it out, it goes to new all-time highs. And so safe to assume there's going to be some stops up there that get taken out. And if you have some real buying add into that with the XRT going up, we're definitely going to be looking at that. If you go to Lowe's Corp, also a tight inside day in the middle of the range there. If you go to TJ Maxx, also stayed as an inside day today. You had, and then you had strength in Macy's and Dillard's department stores. So certainly liking the oil drop because now we're all going to go shopping and go out to eat and all that kind of stuff or whatever. We also, interesting coming up here is FAS was an inside day here. And you can see the tight range this has been as well. And we know that there's earnings coming out next week for a lot of the banks. And so maybe a little holding pattern, and that might continue this stall out in this S&P, if you will. So just for tomorrow, we'll see if there's any extra action because you got Morgan Stanley inside, American Express, you got DFS, and you got Prudential. So a few financials to keep an eye on to see which way that FAS is going to break out tomorrow. We also kicked off earnings season, and I know everybody gets all fired up. Alcoa. And Alcoa says, wah. Alcoa goes to 13.28 right now, so dropping off of that. We also had Bloodbath, and this might have something to do with some retail too. Bed Bath & Beyond is now down $1.50, so it's all the way back down here to 75, negating this strong day in front of the earnings. So keep an eye on that for a nice reverse back down. Tomorrow, we'll have more earnings in the morning. I'll be in the morning, but for right now, it's best to just kind of deal with the market that we have, a range-bound market, and try and use that range for as best we can. When we're backing off the highs of it, we can look for things that are near the lows that are going to continue. And conversely, when we get back to the bottom and you start moving higher, just look for those strong stocks. Certainly going to continue to watch those gappers as earnings season kicks off and starts rolling along. So that's going to do it for today. I'm Rob Smith of the In the Black VTF here at T3Live.com with today's market wrap-up.